Please be seated for tonight's talk. Sit facing the teacher so you can make eye contact and be comfortable. Gata on opening the sutra. The Dharma incomparably profound and infinitely subtle is rarely encountered even in millions of ages. Now ye see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for being here and for practicing. The season has a very different feeling now that we've just completed our 90-day-ish intensive training. The summer practice period has its own palpable feeling to it. And as I often say when the seasons change, it's important that we feel them thoroughly and intimately, that we don't become so busy in the churn, in the doing of our lives, whatever that looks like, that we forget to stop and notice nature. I know many in the Sangha know the value of this well, and I singing to the choir, but still, it's worth saying. Each season has its own feeling. And in the same way, each season of practice has its own feeling. And the more we can become intimate with the larger world as we perceive it, the more we can become intimate with the interior world, because really they're not separate. Tonight I'd like to discuss from the Blue Cliff Record, case 62, Master Yunmen's Within There Is a Jewel. Pointer. By means of the knowledge that has no teacher, he produces the marvelous function of non-doing. By means of unconditional compassion, he acts unasked as an excellent friend. In one phrase, there is killing, there is giving life. In one act, there is releasing and there is holding. Tell me, who has ever been like this? To test, I cite this old case, the main case. Zen Master Yunmen said to the assembly, within heaven and earth, throughout all space and time, there is a jewel hidden inside the mountain of form. Pick up a lamp and go into the Buddha hall. Take the triple gate and bring it on the lamp. So let's discuss a little bit. Master Yunmen was a particularly adept teacher, one whom I greatly admire. He had an amazing way of working with language that still continues, even through different culture and different language. Still, there's some spark from this master that continues to be of nourishment. The pointer says, of course it's talking about Master Yunmen, by means of the knowledge that has no teacher, he produces the marvelous function of non-doing. And it's important for all the emphasis that we put on the Buddha being the original founding teacher and the lineage of the teachers and the teacher, the teacher, the teacher. There is no teacher. There really is no teacher for this. The best that you can really have is a catalyzing friend. You need that. I've needed that. We all need that. But the real thing cannot be taught. It really cannot be transmitted. It can't even be given. Truly, the deep of real wisdom has no teacher because it's inherent in each one of us. So by means of the knowledge that has no teacher, he produces the marvelous function of non-doing. And we'll see that this is one thing to realize it, and it's another thing to get it functioning. See, to see the reality of our true nature is not the end goal. It is a necessary but insufficient step. The real mojo happens when we can get that awakening, that realization of true nature to actually show up in our lives the way our lives actually are. There are many moments in our lives that present to us and we feel them to be alien, like this doesn't belong, this is not my plan, this is unwanted, this is outside. Aspects of others, aspects of ourselves, aspects of society, etc. Life circumstance. Oh hell, just aging, that'll do it, Aging is a full contact sport and the punches hurt. That's just how it is. And there's no choosing not to play. You're in. Yes, you are. Yeah, it's weird, you can get injured sleeping. What the hell is that? But anyway, this business of not resisting as alien the churn and the sadness and the grief, or the delights and the pleasure and the joy, right? What does it mean to actually be intimate with every dharma as it arises? What would that be like? See, and then to be able to function freely in the midst of all circumstances, not just the sweet, light, glitter-filled, blissful ones, all of them, even when no one's watching, and it's just you. Maybe especially then. By means of the knowledge that has no teacher, Yunmen produces the marvelous function of non-doing. And he's talking about the teachings that he gives. That's how it shows up for this person. Now, if he was a carpenter, it would show up as carpentry. If he was a hunter, it would show up in the hunt. If he was a farmer, it would show up in the farming. Happens to be he's a Zen teacher, so it shows up there. But don't mistake, that is not in any way some privileged way that the Dharma expresses. That's not the case at all. When the child cries out and the mother's breast runs with milk, that's exactly it. right? When the house is burning and you wake up, help, Dad, and Dad rushes to save the kids. That's the functioning. It's not just these Zen so-called moments. Nonetheless, in Yunmen's case, he produces the marvelous function of non-doing by means of unconditional compassion. And this is a compassion that does not have an agenda to it. There's no trading, there's no haggling, there's no string, there's no price tag. In fact, you can't buy it. It can't be haggled with. There's no condition at all to this. That's the true giving, right? So by means of unconditional compassion, he acts unasked. It's an awkwardly phrased, but he takes action spontaneously, would be maybe an easier way to say it, as an excellent friend. And you know, sometimes the excellent friends are the ones that kind of give us the kick in the tush when we really need it. You know, it's a lot easier to just sort of go, oh, yeah, that's fine, nice, well, see you later. And, you know, a true friend will say, wait a minute, what are you doing? Really? Are you sure that's good for you? Are you serious? You know that kind of friend that I'm talking about? It's the one that's actually willing to speak. I'm so grateful to have friends who will help me feel when I'm being stupid, you know, when I'm being a dumbass. I mean, the worst thing would be, you know, someone just, you know, you ever have that thing where you've got something caught in your teeth, you know that one? And then you're going around all day, hi, nice to see you, and you're at work, may I help you? And then you get home and there's a spinach right there. And it's like, it's been there all day because you had a spinach omelet for breakfast. Why didn't anyone tell me? You know what I mean? The true friend would be like, dude, spinach tooth. Do you know what I'm saying? And this is what Zen Master Yunmen is doing. Dude, you got spinach in your teeth. Go brush. But it takes a certain kind of relationship for that to be okay, right? I mean, you don't know what you might get if you're in, you know, the shop. Excuse me, sir, but, well, I don't know. Maybe that's not a good move, right? So this excellent friend, right, is what the teacher really is, really ought to be, in the truest sense. In one phrase, there is killing, there is giving life. Now, no need to take this seriously. It's not like he speaks of our cadavra in one where there's death. It's not a death spell, and it's not a resurrection spell. It's not like that. It's something much more magical than those, even if they were real. The real magic, what does it mean to really give life and to really be beyond life? Right? We talk a lot about form and emptiness, right? We talk a ton about form and emptiness, probably way too much, honestly. But to really see what it means to give life, you know, with a flash of thought, there's yes and no and oh my God and hooray and all of everything in between, right? And then another flash of thought is beyond the reach of any such thing. This killing is not simply like a literal slaying of a person or an animal or something. It's talking about bringing forth the absolute, bringing forth the emptiness, the Buddha nature. And the master can play between form and emptiness very comfortably. She can move where she wills. She can illumine forms and play with them and activate them and disappear altogether if they wish. So in one phrase, there is killing, no self. There is giving life. Ha, there you are. And you got spinach in your teeth. Nice life. In one act, there is releasing, and there is holding. When you sit, dear one, please release everything. Keep your posture going, but release everything. Let everything go. When you sit in Zazen, you must be no one in particular. Don't be a Shoken student stuck on a koan, or a priest wondering about their vocation's next step, or a visitor here for the first time, or anything. Don't be a parent, a child, a sibling, a worker, a homeless, a millionaire, whatever. No, not at all. Just be no one in particular, and just let everything go. See? Not to be stuck there, not because that's better, but because that's a necessary component to a fully awakened mind and a fully awakened experience. And it's true that when the bell rings and you begin to move around, there you are again. And you have your personality quirks, oh well, and you have your history and your taste and your traumas and your brilliance. Don't worry, they're not going to go anywhere. It's okay. In fact, the more you're able to let everything go, the more you can actually choose what you would like to inhabit when you bring yourself to life again, so to speak. Yasutani Roshi used to famously say, you have to die every time you sit and rebirth every time you stand. This is accurate. In one phrase, there is killing, there is giving life. In one act, there is releasing and there is holding. There's letting go and there's holding up. Holding up is just as important as letting go. If you're free, if you're stuck to holding up, then you're not really holding up. You're stuck. If you're stuck to letting go, you're not really letting go. You're stuck. The awakened mind can move. And this is why whatever moment presents, the awakened mind can completely meet. Because there's no hangover from the past moment. And there's no hyperventilating about the next one, usually. It's being able to actually meet each moment. Look in the mirror and, whoa, now I'm this old. Whoa, what's happening here? It's a good question. In one phrase, there is killing, there is giving life. In one phrase, in one live word from the Master, there is releasing, there is holding fast. Tell me, who has ever been like this? To test, I cite this old case. Now we get to the heart of the thing. Zen Master Yunmen said to the assembly, within heaven and earth, through space and time, there is a jewel hidden inside the mountain of form. Pick up a lamp and go into the Buddha hall, take the triple gate and bring it on the lamp. It's a kind of a twofer. There's a two-parter into this thing, right? So the situation is that the assembly is gathered, and probably very recognizable to what we're doing now. There would have been some meditation, some zazen, and then a bell, and then an invoking of something to mark the moment, the dime drops, and what are you going to say? It's a hell of a quandary, actually. He does a good job. Within heaven and earth. Now, mind you, that this business of heaven and earth in Chinese culture in this era was a big deal. The idea of bringing the order of the heavens down into the earth and functioning this way in the central kingdom, this is like a massive orienting concept for entire cultures, right? This is a big thing. To the students in the room, this is not just a poetic flourish. This is talking about like a basic way of organizing society, a basic way of seeing the world. Within heaven and earth, throughout all space and time. Whoa, that got a little bigger. It got a lot bigger. We talk about space and time often in our liturgy. Did you ever notice that? The space-time continuum. Thousands of years old, the Buddha talked about it a lot. When you practice, you work with it and encounter it. Space, time, space. Time, being time. Being, space, being. These are all space being time being space, time. They're all this, they're not adjectives to one another. It's the same reality that those pitiful words are trying to gesture at. Being is time is space. Time being space. Being time. Something like this. And what's interesting and fascinating to me is, these ideas about how the universe is expanding and suddenly events begin to happen in time as we would experience it starts to actually exist. And there's an edge to that, and there's a before it or something, and wow, isn't it amazing? And even if our best guess is only 10% right, it's a fascinating way to think about the world. I certainly hope that we as a species stop piddling with stupid things and rally ourselves to truth and science and knowledge. And wouldn't it be wonderful if we could all just kind of coordinate and stop doing dumb things? Even that, But boy, these images from that telescope, the James Webb, it is astonishing. As much as I weep at the reality of the Library of Alexandria being demolished stupidly, I also weep at the joy of being able to be alive to see some of these images and hope for what could come. And interestingly, the Dharma is expressed in every bit of it. Every bit of it. Every galaxy and every space, time, being. Within heaven and earth, throughout all space and time, there is a jewel, a real one. Not just like the treasure that Smaug holds, in the tale of the Hobbit. Not just a fairy story. The real jewel, the real one. Within heaven and earth and throughout all space and time, there is a jewel hidden inside the mountain of form. The mountain of form? The mountain of form. What the hell is that? Is that Everest? Is that one of the hills in Ottawa? What is the mountain of form, right? A little bit technical Buddhist-y stuff, right? Heaps, piles, the skandhas, right? Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, sensation, perception, mental formation, consciousness, all these things. They're heaps, they're piles, like a pile of leaves. Mountain of form, that's you. You, dear one, are a mountain of form, right? And so's this book and the stick and the leaves and the fading sunlight. The sounds, the smells, the sensation of your body on that cushion, the tug of the earth's gravity, the feeling of the space between your head and the ceiling and beyond. All of that is form and sensation of form. So there's a jewel hidden inside the mountain of form. And it's in all of heaven and all of earth and throughout all of space and all of time. And it's intimate. It's right in you. Yunmen said to the assembly, within heaven and earth, throughout space and time, there was a jewel hidden inside the mountain of form. When unwelcome things happen, we tend to perceive them as alien, and it's exactly at that time that you really need to practice. There is nothing alien. There's nothing outside. That's not true. It's not the total truth, say it like that. What's required is intimacy. And then, yes, the solve and the strategy and the response, sure. But don't just jump right to that reflexively, or else you'll be stuck. You'll be trapped. You'll just keep going from one churn to the next, one problem to the next solve. Have you noticed there's no end? As many of the to-dos get crossed off, there's more that come up, even if you're retired. Have you ever had a day where you had nothing to do and you just can't get it all done? It's funny. It's the mind. Yeah, so on. Yeah, we know you. How do you be free in the midst of a crushing schedule or a great, lonely, blank day? How are you free in any circumstance? Even if you're in jail, persecuted. Where's the true freedom? Even if the checkbook is insufficient or so big that it's a problem, that can be a thing, you know. Where's the real freedom? Where's the jewel inside the mountain of form? It's not just the pretty, shiny, attractive forms. It's in all of it. It's in the rusty beer can that someone left in the temple ground, sitting there rusting. That's it too. Just as much as the beautiful wildflowers and the butterflies. And we pick up the can and recycle it. And we don't mow those flowers because the bees need the nectar. But just because there's function, don't be fooled. Don't just skip on the surface of function the whole time. See what's under it. See where the freedom is. You know, one of the expressions of Avalokiteshvara, she has the 10,000 arms, you know. There's gorgeous images. I mean, they're really rather startling if you're not acclimated to them. It can be spooky even, but she's in a kind of a dance thing, and she's got literally 10,000 arms, and in each arm there's an eye right in the center. And some of them hold instruments, and some of them hold weapons, and some of them hold herbs, and some of them hold poison. All the things. Perhaps a cell phone. And she's right in the center. And all of those arms are functioning independently. And they're functioning, they're doing, they're reaching, they're connecting. She's not turning away. But she's also not fooled. How about you? A bit stuck. You clench tight, the eye can't see. Master Yunmen said to the assembly, within heaven and earth, throughout all space and time, there is a jewel hidden inside the mountain of form. It's not written here, but I sense there was a dramatic pause. I think the old master threw the line out there and looked around, hopefully, got some blank stares, probably. And then he said, okay, pick up a lamp and go into the Buddha hall. And the Buddha hall, you know, we have the ancestor hall in the back here, but in some versions of the way a Chan or a Zen Buddhist monastery would look, that there's a Soto where the Zazen happens, there's a Buddha hall where the chanting happens, there's different buildings for different stuff. This is called an American style Zendo, where the talks and the Zazen and the Oryoki and everything happens in one really crazily big space. That's definitely the American style Zendo. They have lots of tiny little spaces that do a few different functions, you know. So he says, okay, take a lamp and head to the Buddha hall, which might be pretty okay, you know, if I said, okay, well, you know, take your cushion and head to the ancestor room. That's a pretty understandable thing to say. You know, we have that little room in the back there, you know. Take your cushion and head back to the, okay, no one got it? All right. Take your cushion, head back to the ancestor hall. And then he says, take the triple gate and bring it on the lamp. You have to understand what that's talking about. The triple gate is a term that means the gate to the monastery or the temple. And now like a full-on one would have 3 that you kind of walk through. And even if there's only one, they still call it the triple gate. So it means like bring the gate to the temple with you. Bring it on the lamp. So it'd be like, bring the entrance to the temple with you on your zafu. Take your cushion and head back to the ancestor room and take the entrance to the temple on top of the cushion with you. Wow, how generous this guy is. Okay? All of these are skillful means to try to help all of us to realize that that gem that's inside. And the thing that's really crazy is you are born with it, you'll die with it, and you might never realize it. Most people do not. And this is why it said that most people are walking around upside down, because they don't realize the inherent perfection. And they're always seeking it outside themselves somewhere. If I found the right partner or the right job or the right clothes or the right car or whatever, then I would count. Then I would prove myself to my dad or to myself or whatever. And it doesn't happen. Or it does for like a minute, a hot minute. And then it's gone again. Instead, the teachings say, nothing is alien. Look inside. Fearlessly look inside. Don't be afraid of that loneliness. That's your spiritual intelligence talking. That's not a problem. And it doesn't matter if your house is filled with people and fur babies and activity or not. That is not what I'm talking about. This essential, I'm alone in this life, in this death. You know what I'm talking about, that feeling? That's not wrong. But don't get there and go, ooh, and then back off, and then play video games or have some Cabernet or quick read something holy, or just stay with it. Really stay with it. Go in. Trust yourself. There's a jewel inside that mountain. And there's just one jewel. That's why it's a little lonely. But it shifts from being lonely to solitude, and that's not the same thing. That's not the same thing. Buddha said, I alone am the world-honored one between heaven and earth. Is this just like hubris, arrogance, and religious turf claiming? Hopefully not. It's an expression of the awakened mind. Throughout all heaven and earth, and throughout all of space and time, and whatever multiverse thing, or big crush, or big freeze, or whatever comes after a big bang, if that's even the thing, everything. There's one treasure, and you, dear one, are it. It's right inside your own bosom. You've got it. But it's not what you think. It's not. You have to feel. You have to be willing to lean into what's actually showing up moment by moment by moment. And so we practice, and so we sit. The Gateless Gate, Case 62. Master Yunmen's Within There is a Jewel. The pointer. By means of the knowledge that has no teacher, Yunmen produces the marvelous function of non-doing. By means of unconditional compassion, Yunmen acts unasked as an excellent friend will. In one phrase, there is killing and there is giving life. In one act, there is releasing and there is holding. Tell me, who has ever been like this? To cite, I test this old case, the main case. Zen Master Yunmen said to the assembly, within heaven and earth, throughout all space and time, there is a jewel hidden inside the mountain of form. Pick up a lamp and go to the Buddha hall. Take the triple gate and bring it on the lamp. May we realize the freedom to bring that lamp into all the moments of our lives. For the benefit of ourselves and all beings throughout space and time, may it be so.
Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to enter them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Are there any announcements? Oh, I have an announcement, I guess. Thanks, Jukai. Sunday is potluck, and it's a very yummy affair usually, so bring your favorite entree, salad, side, and stay to eat. Anything else? Yes.
So next Thursday, we are hosting a multi-faith council event. It's their summer series intergenerational program. This week the Baha'is are hosting it. Next week we're hosting it. The following week the Unitarians are hosting it. So we're expecting about 60 people to come here. All Sangha members are welcome. You probably will be roped into helping, but that's an added benefit, right? There will be a meal starting at 6. Then we'll have some programming, some Q&A. There will be kids events if you want to bring your kids. More than welcome to do that. Kensei will be sending out information on it tomorrow to the members page, so just keep an eye out for that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, please restore the Zendo.